Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with George for your match preview. Football is coming around very quickly at the moment, even though we're on one game a week from now on, pretty much until the Conference League starts. But yeah, the games seem to come around quick. So we are previewing Fulham versus Aston Villa, upcoming on Saturday at 3 p.m. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. Do smash it. I know some people say they can't smash it, but do smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We're pushing and pushing and pushing towards 3,400 subscribers now, on the road to 4K. You guys can really help us get there. So subscribe, and if you do want to become a member, I've pinned the link at the top of the chat to become an official Villa Park Pod follower. Just $1.99 a month, less than a third of a cost of a pint. You can become an official Villa Park Pod follower. George, we were busy chatting backstage there. Well, I didn't realise we were slightly late, so sorry about that, everyone. How you doing though?
Hello, Rich. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, it's a tough old week being a Villa fan, mate. But we roll with the punches, don't we, mate? So yeah, we'll have a little chat and see if we can cheer each other up a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, I think I've done a show every day this week. This is my second one today. Maybe yesterday. I don't think I did one yesterday, but Tuesday fans forum, Monday night of Tuesday lunchtime, me and Kev. Sunday night, I think we were on reacting to the Man United game, which was a great show, by the way. Really good fun. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. It's been an up and down week. I think before we get into kind of the full match preview, just talk to me about the week, because we were kind of talking around, obviously we knew Kamara had got injured, we knew Konsa was injured for a little while, so we were talking about potential options at centre back. Then we get the news of Diego Carlos being injured. We get Leon Bailey officially signing his new contract. Then we get news today that Tyrone Mings has started kind of reintegrating with the group in terms of training, looking to get back to full fitness ASAP. And then this news about Chris Heck, this letter that's been leaked from the staff. I mean, how much truth is in that, I don't know. But honestly, this week is so crazy at the moment at Aston Villa.
Yeah, very much a mixed bag, mate. It feels like I always used to say back in the dark old days, we were a basket case of a club. And at least the days ain't so dark anymore. But that feel is starting to creep back into Aston Villa. There's never like a dull moment, is there? Like you say, all week it's been funny. There's been good news, bad news, strange news. Who the hell thought Mings was anywhere near it? I'm still not convinced he is, but it's obviously he's going to start light training with the team, which is great. But all week it's felt like sort of they've given us a little crumb of comfort, and then it's been taken away in the other hand like a few hours later, and then we've been given it back, and it's been taken away again. And now come the end of the week, I really don't know where we stand, but it's just a day in the life of being a Villa fan, isn't it? And we'll, as I said, keep rolling.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It's like the budget. It's like the budget every year. The Chancellor's budget. They take 5p off the price of a pint, but then put 7p on a litre of petrol. You know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, it's madness. But yeah, I agree. It was brilliant to see the picture of Tyrone Mings. He has been on the exercise bikes and all that. In his own kind of personal rehab. But I do think. I'm still thinking, a good 5, 6, 7 weeks, maybe end of March when he can come back. But even that is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I can imagine a couple of behind closed doors friendlies, that kind of thing, like really easing him back in. You remember last season when Diego Carlos was actually fit, but he only came on a couple of times across the back end of last season. He was used very sparingly, but I think just having him around the squad and being a part of the warm ups and all that was big. But at this moment in time, we certainly need him in the defensive line. I mean, we're going to get into it in a bit, but you're looking at now the defense is basically what you've got: Longley, hopefully Pau Torres, but Callum Chambers is all of a sudden going to be back, probably being called upon.
Yeah, mate, it's unbelievable. I've never known an injury sort of crisis like what we've got at the moment. It's just one after the other, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking like how long Konsa has been one of them since we've signed him. Doesn't really get injured, does he? He's been fit for like 4 years. or whatever it is. It probably must be 4 years he's been there now. And to suddenly lose him has been a massive blow to us. You know, Mings and Konza have been the bedrock of that defence since we got promoted. Mings part of it, obviously, when we did get promoted. And, you know, it's all been chop and change all season. And you just wonder, like, how much more can we sort of take? We're still hanging on in there, aren't we? But yeah, like you say, I think I'll be tempted to. Oh, I wouldn't obviously do it, but when you see Tyrone Mings' picture of him smiling, you're like, yeah, bang him in Saturday. we need him.
I know, mate. Honestly, it's one of them. You're just thinking like, how soon can he get back to
Yeah,
full
can he walk? He's
to
in.
any sort of fitness? Yeah, we just need him in. Um, and like you think we're skating so thin, like to that line or whatever. The Ollie Watkins a bad tackle or some sort of injury. I'm not tempting fate here, but
I was thinking that earlier, mate. Exactly the
Emi
same.
Martinez gets a bang to the head or whatever, or someone he comes out to claim a ball or something like that. It's just we're so close to the line with a couple of positions and a couple of players that you just think surely nothing else can happen, but if you lose one of them, like, that kind of top, I know players have got that siege mentality, but you've got to think that top four, top five would be well and truly up if a Martinez or a Watkins got injured.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, without trying to bring the doom and gloom in, it could be. I think the game could be up now anyway, because like you say, Pau Torres has been out for what, 9 weeks. He's been on the bench the last couple of games, but how fit is he? I mean, he's picked up quite a few knocks this season, hasn't he? I mean, what's the chances of him completing 2-3 games without getting another one? You know, and if we to lose him, then like you say, you're looking at bringing Callum Chambers in, and so I don't really know. Hopefully, we can just sort of cover up the cracks for a bit, but there was still no official word on Konza's time frame, is there? There was rumours all floating about for the last week that he could have a season, like the rest of the season out as well, but that's not been confirmed. So if you're looking at him being, what's he been out now? 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
So
think I
maybe they
think we're
said three
probably
to four,
looking
didn't
at
they?
yeah, I think we're probably looking at another two at least. Um, but they're definitely keeping their cards very close to their chest with regards to times frames of when players are going to be back. Obviously, they were quick to put the picture out of Mings, but I'm sure they'll be very cagey about when he might be able to start playing again. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I saw a tweet. I don't know how much these people know about stuff, but I saw a tweet saying Conte's injury not as bad as first as feared at all.
Let's hope so,
Um,
mate.
but Tyrone Mings isn't as close as people think. He's probably about between 6 to 8 weeks, which again I would totally expect anyway. You're talking what three weeks training. Probably non-contact for a couple of weeks, then maybe getting the ball, then maybe 2 or 3 weeks just training with the team, then maybe a couple of behind closed doors, and then kind of getting him back in the squad. That's like the best case scenario. So yeah, it is a tough time, and I mentioned it on when I did the lunchtime show by myself this afternoon. Obviously not by myself, I had all our viewers watching, which was fantastic. But I said, that I've lost my train of thought now. I'll get it back in a sec. I'll get it back. But yeah, it's just mad. Like the injuries that we're getting. It's just crazy, mate. Honestly. Oh yes, that's what I was saying. You know, David Reed was on Sky Sports talking. I know he's a Villa fan, and he was saying, like Tottenham have been kind of talked about with the state of injuries. Newcastle have been talked about with their injuries. Brighton at the start of the season were talked about their injuries. Man United have been talked about their injuries. Villa haven't had any kind of focus on them and their injuries purely because we've done really well to cope without
Yeah.
it, and also that Unai Emery doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't use it as an excuse. He doesn't say anything about it. Um, but like that does get overlooked, doesn't it? And if you think about it, three players with ACL injuries this season: Jacob Ramsey in and out of this team, Pau Torres, as you've mentioned, out of the side for weeks. John Duran now out of the side for weeks. Luca Dean's been out for weeks. Alex Moreno's been out for weeks. I mean, the injuries that we've had this season have been absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, mate. I mean, it does seem to be across the board this season, doesn't it? I don't know whether it was the compact season last year with the World Cup on top, and it's just extra, like, it's just burnout after that. I don't know, but definitely from a Villa perspective, it's completely unheard of. I mean, we normally quite reasonably fortunate, aren't we? I've always found definitely over the last few years anyway with injuries, and it just seems really, really unfortunate that when we're on the cusp of a wave, we're a few months away from like hitting the targets for the season and nailing the Champions League. And then all of a sudden this happens and you're thinking, Jesus, is there someone up there looking down saying, yeah, we're going to screw you, Villa? It's not happening, boys. That's how it's feeling to me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let me get into some comments before we move on. Michael's in the house. Good evening. It's been a busy night on the Villa podcast. Yeah, I think it's been a busy week for us this week, to be honest. Can we finish on a high? Let's hope so. Duncan's in the house. Good evening, Dunk. Rich is in the house. Good evening. Also saying hello to me and you. And he's also liked. I wish you could like it 5 times as well. That would be fantastic. But thank you very much for that. Awesome news about Mings. Paul says the problems Villa have with injuries is awful, but shows the squad's downfall. Um, but any team would
What can
struggle.
you do?
Any squad would struggle. Anyone, you've got to say that. Mickey Finn said all teams in all sports are affected by injuries. It is the team whose character overcomes these setbacks that win competitions. We have the young players who are hungry and can step up. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well, definitely. Rich said we are cursed. Um, Dunk says wasn't a fan of Heck prior to today, but what was that letter all about? Yeah, well, as I said, I don't know whether to touch on it too much on tonight, but I did kind of cover that earlier this afternoon with the lunchtime live, but it does seem a little bit strange. Rich saying every season we've had in the last few years, injuries have killed our chance of finishing higher. Cursed. Um, Dunk also said Chambers has never done anything wrong. Time he had a chance. I mean, I don't think he's done anything wrong in particular. He's just not. He just gets found out for his lack of pace in the Premier League. That's the unfortunate thing about him. And to bring someone like that in from the cold, maybe if it had come on in the last 3 or 4 games, had increasing in minutes, he might be up to the pace of it. But it's very difficult to ask a player who isn't quick in the first place to then come in and just start straight away, isn't it, George?
Yeah, exactly. He's an honest boy, Chambers. He's a steady player. He was cheap as chips, wasn't he? And that's what he's been for the squad. He's been filler. In the last couple of years, he's come in and done his bit. But really and truthfully, we've outgrown the likes of Callum Chambers. And it's kind of like, you look at it now, like it's kind of last resort job, isn't it? But he's still around. So if it happens, if he has to come in, he has to come in. And you trust him to hopefully do a job for us. But it'll only be temporary. He's gone at the end of the season for me.
Yeah, yeah. Cloud in the house says, I feel the slump continues, but the lads do have the quality to turn it around. Need to do something because it could get nasty in terms of league position. I still think sixth in the Conference League is a good season. I do as well, but it's interesting that Ajax are now in the Conference League and Real Betis are in the Conference League as well. So there's sort of a couple of bigger teams now in that tournament that could be quite dangerous.
That's my
Um,
worry, Rich. I think sort of quietly, Villa fans probably won't admit this, but we're kind of just assuming we're going to win it. It's all every time you speak to someone, I'll take sixth in the Conference League. I'll take fifth in the Conference League. It's all right. We'll win the Conference League. What if we don't win the Conference League?
No, it's going to be, obviously look at the draw, all that sort of stuff. You've got to get a decent draw, and in some ways, playing a bigger team earlier on might be better because you get up for it straight away. But yeah, I mean, there's some decent sides left in Olympiacos, obviously in there still. Mulder are in it. Eintracht Frankfurt are in it. Ajax, as I said, Real Betis. Ludogorets who've been in the Champions League. So there's some decent sides in there. And the other thing is we don't know a lot about it. As a club and as supporters, we don't know much about the teams and the players that are playing in those clubs because we haven't really experienced European football for a long, long time. So yeah, it's great to say that we were going to win it, and of course we were one of the favourites. But there's a lot of football to be played in that tournament yet.
Are they playing the other round? Is there a round tonight of it?
Yeah, it's like the round of 32, so it's the playoff round. It's like the first leg of it now. So, as it stands at the moment, results-wise, Mulder beat Legia Warsaw 3-2 in the first leg. Olympiakos beat Ferencvaros 1-0. Sturm Graz beat Slovan Bratislava 4-1. Union Saint-Gilloise drew with Frankfurt 2-2. And at the moment, Bodo Glimt 2-0 up on Ajax. Maccabi Haifa 1-0 against Ghent. Real Betis 0-0 with Dynamo Zagreb, and Servette a 0-0 against Ludogorets. But some, like I say, some decent teams in that competition.
Yeah.
Nick said, "Evening lads, thin as a wager." Michael said he doesn't think we will see Mings until next season. Also, Duncan talk about that 5-3-2, and I'll ask you that question once we've done the starting lineups and stuff. Rich said, "I truly believe we will finish 5th or 6th if we don't get any more serious injuries, like months out injuries, not weeks." We'll talk about that in a bit in terms of players coming in for Villa. I do want to touch on Fulham first, I think. But yeah, people saying, he says, Nick said, "Even as thin as away for our squad, why don't we try to strengthen more in January? Can't blame FFP. Why couldn't we find a few loan players?" Maybe so.
We've filled our loan quota already, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There was so many rules going back and forth about what we could do, what we couldn't do. I'm not sure. Gaza's in the house. Good evening, Gaza. So yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know. It does look like that, and obviously, Dendon could go in as well. Now that looks like a bad decision and all that sort of stuff. But you can't legislate for stuff like that with injuries. Yeah, let's talk Fulham. Obviously, upcoming trip to Craven Cottage. I know you're going as well, George. Looking forward to it. Don't want to talk about your record at Fulham though yet.
I don't think anyone's got a good record at Fulham, let
I
alone
know
me.
they haven't. They haven't. So yeah, one not a great place for Villa that they've travelled to. I remember obviously last season, the end of Steven Gerrard at Fulham. But also I remember an FA Cup tie there where we just
Yeah.
played absolutely terribly. But bit of a funny side, aren't they, Fulham? They'll go through a run of games where they maybe win 2 or 3 in a row, but then they'll also go through a run of games where they'll lose 3 or 4 in a row, and I guess that plays into their league position as literally 12th in the table, so literally halfway in the league. What have you made of them this season?
Yeah, like you say, consistently inconsistent, aren't they? They're a nice football team, Fulham. They always have been. They've all, like, you talk about identities and philosophies. Fulham have always just been a nice football team, easy on the eye. But when it's up against them, they can fold quite easily, I find. But at home, they've always been stronger, and I think this is a dangerous game for us, and it's one we could do without. I think down at Fulham this time of the year with the problems we've got and with our record there. They've got good players. I was just having a quick look at their squad. You're looking at the Evergreen Williams still doing a bit there. They've just
Yes.
signed Brozier on loan from Chelsea, haven't they? I mean,
Yeah.
I know Jimenez had started finding a bit of form, but is he injured? Am I right saying that?
I've just checked and he's injured, up until kind of late Feb. So whether he's made a real comeback or not is another matter. But yeah, he's injured and Kenny Tette's injured at the moment. But those are the only 2 injuries they've got. And yeah, you did mention Brozier. Obviously he's a bit hit and miss, but he's certainly a striker who can put himself about. And as you say, if there's any sort of chink in our armour at the moment, that's at centre back, with Longley or Chambers or Pau Torres coming back in. And even when Pau Torres was at his best, he definitely has a weakness against those physical type strikers, doesn't he? And obviously Broja or Jimenez, if he was fit, would fit into that category. So we've certainly got to watch out for Fulham. And I always feel like Harry Wilson always has a good game against Villa. I don't know why he just seems to love playing against Villa.
Yeah, you look at Pereira, Paulinho. Now we've lost Kamara. I mean, Kamara's not the most physical, is he? But he's so
No.
good at them interceptions and just nicking the ball. And I worry without him that no one else is really so good at that. So they could run all over us. I'm not saying they will, but there's a chance they could. So I'll be interested to see what Emery does to try and stop that and try and close the Kamara hole that's in midfield now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted to check their goals, like in terms of scored and conceded. So they're on. Just give me a second. So they're on. Like I say, they're in 12th position. They've scored 33 goals this season and conceded 39. So they're not. then I know they used to have, they used to be known for having like quite a really like leaky defense, didn't they? Let quite a few goals in, but they don't seem to have. You don't seem to be too bad at the back even. I guess goal scoring has maybe been a bit of an issue for them. Obviously, we've scored 50 goals this season in the league, and we're averaging 2 per game there. They're at 33. So the goals conceded for a team in 12 isn't too bad. So yeah, it's certainly not shaping up to be an easy game, and as you've said there, it's a place where we haven't seemed to travel well to. Obviously, the lockdown season we had a great result, 3-0. I can't seem to remember too many other victories there.
I think I've seen one other win there. I remember we won. God, what was it? I remember winning 2-1 there when Gabby was still playing. I remember Gabby grabbing the winner there. That's got to be Jesus, about 2010, something like that, maybe. But yeah, I've seen plenty of defeats there, a few draws. But yeah, we have had some beatings there, including in the Championship. I remember when I think Fulham won the division. No, it was when we were both going for when Fulham eventually beat us in the playoff final, and we'd been on a good run, and Fulham ended it. I remember they beat us 3-1 at Craven Cottage. I remember when Grealish scored a good goal for us.
That was the season before. That was when we kind of ended the season with a win.
We tailed off before.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No,
yeah.
honestly, I've been there. Probably been to Fulham 10 times, and I've seen just one win, probably about 7 defeats, I would say. So yeah, it's still my favourite away ground to go to, though. Strangely, always a great day out of Fulham. So I always have the rule: never let the result ruin a good day at Fulham.
Well, hopefully both happen this time round. Villa Main is in the house. Good evening, all. I think Villa need to keep Willian, Paulinho, and Muniz quiet. Then Villa should win. Yeah, I do. Easier said than done. I mean, John McGinn had a great game against Paulinho in the home game and was really up for it. You could tell he really wanted to stamp his authority on the game. Now, I don't know if he must have played that in that game, Kamara. But how do you think we're going to go to starting 11 shortly, but with regards to potential changes in that midfield, how do you see that battle shaping up? Do you think that will be kind of McGinn against Paulinho again, or do you see him like changing positions? And then, how do you see Unai Emery like approaching this game with regards to where we are in the league, our situation, and kind of the situation with the players that we've got available? How do you see him approaching it as well?
Oh, who knows, mate? I mean, I'd say a sensible, pragmatic approach might be the one. Because obviously things have started toppling against us a little bit. We've lost a few games recently, and maybe it might just be a try and grab a clean sheet here and try and get some positive, momentum going again forward. But then again, if Champions League's still the target, as we said the other day, there's no room for manoeuvre now. You win or you don't get it. It's simple as that. Because the big teams are not messing around at the moment, are they? But
no.
As for the style, I mean, what do you reckon? Who are we playing here in the midfield? What do you reckon he's going to do?
Well, let's do our starting lineups. I mean, Gaza said, listen, if we pin them back by going all out attack, they won't be able to cope with us. Claudia said, if Dan Bardell goes, we'll lose at the Cottage.
I think he said he wasn't going. I'm sure I heard.
Oh, there you go. Then there you go. That means we're winning. Then that means we're winning. Good old Dan. So yeah, let's do our starting lineups. You guys in the chat as well. Let us know what you would do with in terms of your starting lineups. And as I've just flashed up on the board there, do hit the like button. Do hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. And yeah, if you look at the pinned chat link at the top, then you can click the link to become a member of the channel as well. Yeah, so I'll go with your starting lineup first, George, and I'll put mine on in a second. Just to have us, have a little look at that, and then you let me know your thoughts on who you've picked and why.
Yeah, obviously this isn't ideal. It really isn't, but it's a needs must approach at the minute. I mean, I've gone for Pau Torres to come back into the side here. That's just because I can't think of no one else, and we need him. Whether he's ready or not, I really can't tell you. Obviously, having 2 left footers there is not ideal. Longley will then have to move on to the other side. I'm assuming it'd be Longley that shifted over to the right. Cash and Moreno kind of. Look, I don't know what Luca Dean's. I know he's back in the squad, but I don't. He's played more games this year, but Moreno seems to have the shirt again for now, so I've gone for him. And with the midfield, I've gone for Tim Iroegbunam to come in. I know he hasn't really featured much, but I'm just going on what Emery's been saying when Dendoncker left, that he's got a lot of faith in Iroegbunam. He's mentioned him a few times, and he says that this could be his role. His the holding midfield is his role, because apparently he's more of a traditional number 8. That's what they say.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. Obviously, Rachel, who watches the channel, has been saying that as well.
Yeah, but to look at him, he's got all the physical profile of a holding, like a number 6 to me. So I think to not upset the rhythm of the side and what we've been doing all season, I would just go like for like and see how it goes. But you know, he could quite easily go McGinn and Louise and go back to that. But to me, that was always a mid-table partnership. I mean, Rich, how many times have we used to come on and say they've got no physicality? We get run straight through. We get muscled out, bullied. So I don't really want to see that again. I mean, Tielemans, then if you're 3 of them, they're 3 players that don't really like to put a foot in too much. And I'm not sure I would want to go that way. But as Emery doesn't often pick a youngster, the chances are he probably will try the 3. But if it was me, I think I'd be giving young Tim a go myself.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I've gone with slightly different. So I've gone same back 4, Cash, Longley, Torres, Moreno, but I have gone for the fact that I think he might plump for McGinn in defensive midfield with Louise, and then I've gone for Tielemans, Ramsey, Bailey, and Watkins up front. I think had we been playing at home, I think maybe Iroegbunam would come in, but I just feel like away from home, I think he'll go with a bit more tried and trusted. That being said, though, for me, I agree with you. If he's been saying a lot of things about a lot of things about Iroegbunam and him being that next cab off the rank, so to speak. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I'd like to see him tried. I'd like to see him get a game, but I just feel like he's going to go safe. The only problem with that team that I've said with McGinn there is you lose that McGinn that was playing further forward, and at times he was really good on Sunday. He was in and out of the game, but when he was in the game, he was really like up for it and firing, wasn't he? And I think when you play him in that bit more defensive position, sometimes his passing comes into question a little bit.
Yeah,
So
because he gets
that's a difficult one.
what's the word? He kind of gets no one's close enough to him, are they? And he tries to pass it. He always used to do it. And he tried a long ball and all that Hollywood ball, and it wouldn't make it. And it used to be quite frustrating. And it sort of invite more pressure on. I don't like him as a deep line midfielder myself. If anything, if I had to have either of them, I'd possibly say Louise was better at it than McGinn.
Yeah, agreed. So whether you've got like Louise will take on that Kamara role and drop further deeper, and McGinn maybe drives it forward a little bit more is probably the way to go.
It's just you lose the best qualities in both of them by them not playing where we want. Hence why I'm thinking just bring Iroegbunam in and you can leave them 2 to do what they do.
Yeah. Look, it's absolutely fair one. Rich with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, my man. Keep the faith, Emery's Villa boys. Away win. Love it. Love the positivity, and thank you so much for the super chat there. Dunk's gone with a 5-3-2. McGinn, Tielemans, and Louise in the midfield 3. Watkins and Bailey up front. So I guess that's Jacob Ramsey maybe missing out there. Michael said if Parry's not ready, we should not risk him for one game when we have 14 to go. Interesting, but then who comes in? Is that then a back 4 of Longley, Chambers, Cash, and Moreno? Then
oh god, it sounds horrendous. That
he's probably. I mean, Moreno's got some pace. Cash isn't a slouch, but he's not really fast. And Longley and Chambers, that's up there with the slowest centre back partnership I think we've ever had.
You're asking for trouble there, boys.
Yeah. Dunk said 3 at the back gives us defensive cover. I don't disagree with that actually, but I just don't know if he'll do it in this game. I think Diaby might start against us, Gaza.
I could see that being a possibility. Rather, like as your man just said there, try and go at Fulham rather than them coming at us and see if we can get a couple of goals ahead. Because Diaby and Bailey were linking up nice, weren't they, the other night before obviously changed.
They really were. Yeah, I know. McGinn press aggressively, a little terror. Yeah, hopefully he does. Hopefully he does. Michael said our front line is key for this game. We must take our chances. Nick says, when is Morgan Rogers going to feature? And I don't think yet. I wouldn't. He's only played what 10 minutes.
I still have no idea what we've bought, mate. Absolutely no idea why. Not saying he's rubbish or anything. I don't know enough about him, but I don't know what was the thinking behind it. Was it just he saw him against when he played us and liked him? Is he a centre forward? Is he a white? Is he a winger? I really don't know. It's just been a quiet transfer, hasn't it? Nothing's really been said about it.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, it's a. I wouldn't say it's a strange decision, but I don't think he's a one who's going to play a hell of a lot of games or get a lot of game time. You know, he's got Ramsey coming back to a bit more fitness. He's got Diaby, who he's obviously paid a lot of money for. He's got Leon Bailey, who's the main attacking threat at the moment. He brought Zaniolo on the other day instead of Morgan Rogers. So you're talking him getting in ahead of 4 or 5 players at the moment, and that's the question, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, and there's
what?
Duran to
Where
come
is?
back yet as well.
Yeah, yeah. Where's he going to feature? Does he? Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, we all want to see him, but I just don't know. Don't know. Um, Cloudy agrees with Dunk. Three at the back would work. I said this the other night. I just worry about it being Pau Torres, Callum Chambers, and Clement Longley because those are literally our only three fit centre backs at the moment. So if you're putting all three of them out there, one of them gets injured, then you've literally got nothing. Um,
We don't know how long Carlos is out yet. They've not said, have they?
no, no, they haven't yet. They haven't yet. I mean, hamstrings, what, 2 or 3 weeks if it's not too serious, but we don't know at the minute. Rich said Watkins will be on the score sheet, so maybe that's a hint to what his prediction's going to be. Rogers is a signing for the future, says Dunk.
Yeah.
Same as Michael. And then Cloudy said my back three, I would do it as a 3-4-1-2 with Bailey, DRB left and right, Tim and Louise at central midfield and defensive midfield, McGinn at central attacking midfield, and Watkins and Rogers and Zanio. Watkins and Rogers or Zaniolo up top. There's a few
Interesting,
changes
wasn't it?
there.
That's the
Yeah, it's
problem. It
interesting
looks quite good, but
formation.
it's too much upheaval, I'd say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so it's just an awkward time to play a team like Fulham. I think because they're going to be up for this game in terms of like knowing that Villa aren't fully at the races. They're under a little bit of pressure. Albeit though, the more I've thought about it the last week, I thought that performance on Sunday, sorry, was excellent. And if we play anything like that on Saturday, we should have too much for them. It's just really trying to almost replicate that performance or get as many of the chances that we did then and be just that little bit more clinical.
I find though we find it very hard to match that tempo that we get at Villa Park in the away games.
Mm.
It's just it just doesn't seem realistic, does it? The home team always tend to sort of kind of have the possession, don't they? And they're the ones that are kind of seen to be having to attack a bit more. Whereas at Villa Park, teams defend against us, and we can get going and get our sort of set our style out. But that hasn't really happened away, apart from that Sheffield United game, where, as I said at the time, they were like statues. They just stood there and watched us play. Other than that, we found it quite difficult on the road this year to try and get at teams.
Yeah, yeah, we've managed to get results off the back of maybe scoring goals at key moments, showing really good character. Even that Chelsea game, it was a bit of a kind of throwback to last season where we were quite defensive,
I
but
love them away
everything.
performances like that.
Yeah, yeah. But one of the recent ones have been kind of like scoring goals at key moments. I think Brentford away, Bournemouth away, Tottenham away. As you say, Sheffield United was kind of an exception to the rule, really. Man United away 2-0 up at half time, good half, but you knew we were really just hanging in there.
Yeah, I was never
We've kind
convinced
of
that
always
day.
been hanging in there in a lot of away games, so it'd be nice to see us, just have a comfortable away performance. But it's going to be really difficult, really difficult. Um, CC's in the house. Hello from a very rainy Toronto. Um, it's fairly mild here, but it's been a bit wet. So yeah, I think it's that general weather.
I'm
around
walking around in a
Newcastle
t-shirt
way.
today at work, Rich.
Yeah, I know it's been
Yeah, it's
mild,
lovely
mate. It
day.
has. It has. Richard, our defenders will have to be on it. If not, our high line will be a worry. Yes, definitely. Um, CC says it will be very interesting to see how Emery sets us up. It's going to be one of those times when the team is really going to have to play for each other. Absolutely. And Richard, a clean sheet would be nice. Yeah, it really would. It really, really would.
I think you've frozen there, Rich. You still there, mate?
My bad. I don't know what happened there.
Oh,
Sorry
you're back.
about
You're back. I didn't know what to do there, mate. I was in. I was
that. You
like, shit.
panicked.
Yeah, what do I do?
Yeah, I've seen the private chat. Yeah, sorry. I don't know. The internet seemed to be on, but I've just connected to my phone for the second. So yeah, Mike, sorry about that. Just a bit of a frozen situation, but I'm back in the room now. So yeah, just want to have a look at the head-to-heads, guys. Get your match predictions in though for Saturday while we're doing this. So yeah, head to head against Fulham, we've played each other 31 times in the Premier League, which is quite a few. Considering Fulham have been a bit of a yo-yo team with regards to dropping down into the Championship and back up, they've only won 7 times. Villa have now won 13 times against them, but only 3 of those have been away from home. Like you say, George, not a potential happy hunting ground for us. Fulham have had 6 of their 7 wins away at Craven Cottage, and 11 games in total have been draws. Last meeting was 3-1 to Villa this earlier on this season in November, but Fulham did play pretty well in that game. Villa took their chances at key times in the game and had a good first half, and then Fulham came into it in the second half. Last season as well at Villa Park, we beat them 1-0. I think it was a Tyrone Mings header.
Always seem to beat them at home, don't we, every season?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. The 3-0 defeat, October the 22nd, obviously that famous night, the Steven Gerrard's final game. Um, 4th of April 2021, which was lockdown, I believe. We beat them 3-1. I think we came back from 1-0 down in that game. I think Trezeguet got a couple of goals.
Mm.
And then 3-0, obviously we talked about that earlier on in that lockdown season. I think it was Grealish and Hurahan and McGinn, I think, got on the scoreline then.
Well
So
remembered, Rich.
yeah, so what's that? Four out of five. The last 4 out of the last 5 games we've beaten them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
decent record against them of late. Form guide. Fulham slightly better form. Obviously, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat from the last 5 games. Villa with 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 defeats from the last 5 games. And it was interesting. Obviously, I think it was Mark who obviously does our thumbnails and everything. He'd mentioned that even though the form's been pretty patchy of late and not been great, we've only lost something like 4 out of the last 19 or something. So it's just about just trying to get back on that winning trail for Villa, like putting 2 or 3 results together. That'll be the key for us at the moment. Um, we're fifth at the moment, as it says, won 14 games, drawn 4, lost 6. Fulham with 8 wins, 5 draws, and 11 defeats. As we've said, they've managed to put a few results together, and then they've dropped a few results. So yeah, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what Fulham turn up. We've obviously got a better goals score and a goals conceded rate better. 6 clean sheets each. We create more chances than them per match. So everything's pointing towards Villa getting a result, but obviously the players that we have out leads, some of the big players really do need to turn up, and the replacements or the young players that could potentially come in need to step up as well. Ollie Watkins obviously leading the charts in goals and assists, which is, he could do with a goal as well to kind of lead the line for us, which would be great. But yeah, interesting to see what will happen. Um, Yeah, any thoughts on that kind of recent record, George, in terms of how we've done previously, what your kind of general thoughts are going into Saturday's game?
Yeah, well, that's Looking at that, that was reasonably encouraging. But like I said, it always seems to be we'll win the game at our place, and we struggle a bit more on the at Craven Cottage. But I guess it does. History doesn't really mean for everything, does it? I mean, anything could happen here. I just think it's for us. It's all about whether we're going to go into this game feeling sorry for ourselves. The world's gone against us. We've started losing games we shouldn't have lost. We're getting injuries galore. Are the players just thinking, oh well, we've had a good season. Maybe it's just maybe we're not as good as we thought, and it all depends on whether, or does it go the other way and they're going to galvanise and say, do you know what, bollocks to all this, forget Man United, forget the injuries. We want this Champions League place and we're gonna fight for it. So I don't know, mate. It could be either or.
Yeah, well, the way McGinn was talking after the Man United game, he seemed really disappointed, but also determined to kind of harness that performance and kind of use that as a inspiration to turn it around. So let's hope that that's the case. I think the players will be wanting to get back out on the pitch to kind of put things right from last Sunday. So hopefully that's correct. Now looking at the score predictions, looking fairly positive from most people. So Duncan's saying a 3-1 Villa win. Michael is also saying a 3-1 Villa win. Villa Mania saying Villa to win 2-1, Watkins to score twice, which doesn't happen too often in terms of him scoring multiple times in a game. Rich says 2-0 Villa, Bailey, Watkins, and a Debu clean sheet. Duncan, in that 3-1 win that he's predicted, he predicts a Bailey brace. Deontay's in the house. Great to have you in, as is Michelle. Thank you very much for tuning in. Cece said Rich is deep thinking. I don't know about that, but I was definitely frozen for a time. What's this saying? We've got a bit of a gap, so we're not in the poop yet, but we need to start winning again. Put a nice one together and hope the guys above us and around us beat each other. Yes. Well, as I say, they've still got to play some tough games. So it'd be interesting to see. We can also open up the gap on Man United again. They've got to play Luton on Sunday. So that'll be interesting to see how they get on. George, your thoughts on the game Saturday? What are your score predictions, score and scorers?
Right, with me, I tend to predict with my head rather than my heart. So I'm afraid no one's going to like this one, but I think we get beat here. I just think losing two starters in the same week, on top of getting beat the way we did last week, getting beat by Chelsea. I just think at the minute we're in a bit of a sticky spot, and Fulham's the wrong team at the wrong time. So I'm going to go for a Fulham 2-0 win here, and hopefully we can bounce back after.
Let's hope. Let's hope. But I would not want to see the meltdown on Twitter, and I don't want to be doing an instant match reaction after a defeat because I don't think I don't think I'll be able to handle it. I was as positive as I could be on Sunday just because we played well, but if we get beat on Saturday, I don't think it will be down to us having a good performance because it's one of those games where we, as football supporters, as Villa supporters, will see it through the lens of we should be beating teams like Fulham,
I'm not
even
sure
though
we
we
can be
don't.
doing that
If
now.
Yeah, no, I know, but even though we don't get a good result there, what I'm saying is we'll see it through that lens. We're fifth in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
table, they're 12th. We should be doing this, we should be doing that. I'll get carried away with that. I know I do,
Because
but
remember, we're on the slide a little bit at the moment. That's my
that's
worry. The
yeah,
confidence isn't there, is it?
that's the if they score first, it's going to be a difficult one. It really is.
I
It
mean, we were
really is.
second about 3 weeks ago.
We've got to get the first goal. If we get the first goal, I'm confident
Agreed,
we get
yeah.
the result. I'm confident. Kay says 2-0 Villa, Watkins and Ramsey. Be nice to keep a clean sheet. I'm going to say a tight 2-1 Villa victory. And I'm going to go the same scorers as Kay said there. I think Ramsey will get a goal. I think after his game on Sunday, where he should have scored two or three, or just got a better connection on two or three, I think he will be a little bit more clinical. I think he'll be desperate to get a goal.
Well, they need to just
Um,
start letting that shot off, as I said the other
yeah,
night. So
even with his
much
left foot as well.
pondering.
Yeah,
Yeah, just hit
yeah,
it.
yeah. CC said after Man United, the team knows they played well and it reminded them how good they can be. And I think they will be determined to overcome the injury challenges. Weston said, I just can't see us losing this game. I really do think the players will be determined from now on in. I hope so. I really
Yeah,
do.
me
I really
too.
do. So I'm going to say 2-1 Villa win. Watkins and Ramsey. I think it's going to be a tough game. Fulham always play well at home against us. I think Harry Wilson's a tough player to play against. You're looking at pace in the wide areas, but if we can get hold of that midfield, I think we can cause them problems in defence as well. Like Leon Bailey's, obviously we know how good he is, how dangerous he is. Ollie Watkins can kind of cause damage to Tim Ream and one or two of their other players. So yeah, I do think we can get a result. So I'm going to say a tight game, but a 2-1 victory. CC's saying a 2-0 Villa win, Watkins and Bailey. So everyone apart from you, George, is positive. But I'm hoping it's a bit of reverse psychology, seeing as
Yeah,
though
you
you're
know that.
there, and yeah, you kind of keeping your expectations low. So then anything better than that is
Yeah, nice
obviously a
bonus, mate, isn't it?
exactly. I think that does us for tonight. Been a good, really good show, and thank you for all your comments in the chat, guys. As you all know, we really love the interaction with you guys in the chat. Hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and you're new to the channel. And yeah, we're going to be back with. I might even jump on tomorrow afternoon, lunchtime live, maybe if I get a chance. So do look out for that, especially if Unai Emery's done a press conference, because it'd be good to get a perspective of who's injured, who's going to start, etc., etc.
I'll
What
give you a
what
little spot.
kind of information we get. Sorry.
Unai's going to be very demanding. That's my spoiler.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. That's the new saying every week, isn't it? Very demanding, very demanding. Yeah, yeah. Demand everything from the players. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm sure we will be. I'm sure we will be. But yeah, I'll try and jump on at lunchtime tomorrow. So do look out for that. Obviously, I'll be back with instant match reaction on Saturday, and then we'll have a full match reaction probably on Sunday. Talking tactics, all the usual stuff. So make sure you keep tuned to the channel. Rasisi said if we lose, I would just come on and sit in silence, no words necessary. I might do that just for
We've
10
already done that
minutes.
tonight for about a minute.
I know I did, yeah, I did. But yeah, thanks George for jumping on. Thank you for coping so well while my screen froze. I mean, nobody noticed at all. Um, but yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, stay tuned for the channel. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Thanks everyone.